1380 KCIM Sports presents KCIM Sports Rewind. A look back at the week in high school sports. Brought to you by St. Anthony Rehab Services. Here's Sports Director Jeff Blankman, John Ryan, and Jeff Honnold.
Now, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sports Rewind. Jeff Blankman, Jeff Honnold with you here today. John Ryan still, I think, getting chased by the sharks or the kangaroos or something down in the Australia-New Zealand area, right?
He's so skinny, he probably doesn't taste very good. They'll probably leave him alone. You got to have marbling like me. That's why I don't go in the ocean anymore. I'm thinking a shark might just love my taste.
Well, he might be eating some really good food down there, getting fattened up a little bit.
I'm guessing he's testing new beers.
Yeah, well, come on now. Did we think he would do anything else?
No, absolutely. Yeah. At least he can bring some back.
Yeah, he has sent a few pictures. We'll have some of those coming up.
I don't care about the pictures. I want the taste.
But we'll have some of those pictures coming up here, and we're going to be posting those throughout the show.
There's a couple of them out there.
What do you think? Our friends back here behind us, hiding in the corner, cowering back there from Johnson.
So since he's gone, can we go an hour today?
Well, the funny thing is, you bring that up. Last week I was in here by myself, and guys, did I not get out of here perfectly on time?
Yeah. Because you're boring.
No, it's because you and John are the reason why this show goes long all the time.
So we're the humor. You give the facts, we entertain. Okay,
absolutely. Absolutely. So you know what? I tell you what, Jeff, all of our games tonight being moved ahead.
Woohoo!
So you've got the doubleheader down in Elkhorn with our Arweva against HST of Oklahoma.
Thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome. Coming up at 5:30 tonight here on KCIM. And then, of course, we've got the Audubon, Exira, Kimballton game to follow that. My game up at Sioux Central tonight with IK Manning. And Newell Fonda has just been moved up to a 5:30 start earlier this morning. That game will be on 93.7 KKRL. And then, Nick, the only lucky one. He just has to go from Ames to Boone. But he's got the South Central Calhoun game tonight against Madrid. So not much of a trip for Madrid to be able to play in that game.
We say that, but
6 o'clock tonight.
You've made him the road warrior, so he deserves probably a short trip.
He does.
He's taking some big ones. He's taking the Sioux City ones, and he likes that stuff. Though.
He does.
He's still young enough.
He's got friends all over the place. So he just, if you send him on a Friday night.
What are those?
I don't know because I don't have any.
Yeah, that's nice.
But if you send him out on a Friday night, he just stays in that community for the entire weekend.
Yeah, it's good to have somebody like him that enjoys doing that kind of stuff as well. And it'll be fun tonight. It'll be interesting. The snow's going to come in a little quicker down at Elkhorn.
Yep.
Look like about 7 o'clock.
Got your hotel reservations made?
I do not, but I may pack a bag because I've been known to sleep in my truck before. As long as she's fueled up, I'll be all right. Turn the heated seats on and just take a snooze.
Yeah, the only problem is it might take you a while to get back. Yeah. So, but the crazy thing about all this is I literally, in my 15 years here and 20 years in doing radio, cannot remember a postseason that has been so impacted by weather as the one we're going through right now.
Well, one of the good news is we've had teams going later than, we've got teams deeper into the playoffs.
Well, no, not really.
Well, we got quite a few of them that went in. I mean, the girls, we had quite a few girls still going. But you're right. The snows have been falling right on the dates.
It has been.
It's really, it's really been odd, and it's like every 3 days we've been getting it, and I'll be glad when it's over.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been snowing pretty much since the first day that we were supposed to have the playoffs.
I was outside today, and I see it's minus whatever it's supposed to be, or it's 0.
It's a 1 above right now.
Yeah, but there's really no breeze. It doesn't. Now, I'm not out there as long, so all you guys that are out there all day long, I know it's cold, but it sure doesn't feel as bad as it normally would without that wind.
And I'm sure they're happy that there's no wind as well. But, it's just been crazy this year, the amount of weather. Literally, I remember that first night of the playoffs for the boys. We were supposed to have Kemper and Glidden Ralston play. Well, Glidden Ralston had to move their game 2 different times to be able to get it in. Kemper was able to squeeze their game in that night, and you had to drive back at, about 40 mile an hour in an ice-heavy snowstorm. So it has just been the craziest
I like the fact that they're moving them up, though.
We've ever had. I do, too.
Give us a chance to get them in, but yet let's not be crazy about this thing. Let's get this thing in early and give everybody a chance to get out of there. And we'll see what that second game is like. Audubon doesn't have to travel quite as far home.
Right.
So...
You'll have the farthest drive out of everybody there for the second game.
Yeah, thanks for that, by the way.
You're welcome.
But yeah, and I'm guessing on the way home I'll probably be taking 71. So
yeah, might not be a bad idea.
I don't think I'm taking back roads on the way home, but we'll see. Hopefully it'll be fun.
Yeah, the only crazy thing for you could be 44 getting across, from Kimballton, I think it is, over to.
Yeah, that's an interesting road anyway.
A lot of curves and everything else.
Yeah.
So we wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a good hotel down there. Weather gets bad, just put yourself up for a night.
Yeah, I'm sure my wife will be upset about that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They probably might have a little celebration.
They normally do.
And I'll stop in on my way back from Sioux Central. But let's talk a little bit about wrestling right now.
All right.
Bill Kane, Bill Gross, and I were down in Des Moines last Thursday, Friday, Saturday, wrapping up the state wrestling and the wrestling.
But you get about 5 hours total sleep?
No, I actually got about 8 to 8.5 between the 3 days.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Yeah.
That's actually good for you.
It is. It was kind of lucky in a way that Tom Hawkep was able to help us on Friday night. Otherwise, we'd have ran into some issues. But appreciate Tom, and want to take a moment while we bring that up. I want to thank you and Lonnie and Nick and Tom Hawkep and everybody that's helped call games. Especially through the regular season and here in the playoffs. People don't realize how much of your guys' time that you give up to us out here at the radio station to help us out. Travel long distances, leave work early. Nick Burns vacation days, and stuff like that to be able to cover games. So I tip my hat to you guys, and I thank you guys very much for all the help, because everybody doesn't understand the amount of time that it goes into doing all of this stuff. And if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't get much covered.
Well, and I'm not going to speak for myself, but for the other guys, people don't understand. You work your normal 8-hour day or more.
Right.
And then you don't just show up. I mean, there is a little bit of prep work you have to do, whether you do it prior to the game or what have you. I think I spent a couple hours yesterday doing a little bit of prep work for my games tonight, getting a sheet typed up for pregame and understanding who they are. The good ones actually memorize names, unlike me. I just kind of wing it, but they'll get in there and get the names memorized. And, so you got probably per game at least a couple hours worth of work. Of prep work, and then the people really don't realize that you have to be there an hour ahead.
Yep.
You really need to be there an hour ahead of the game. So depending on what your drive time is, so I think today I plan on leaving. I'll be on the road by 4:30.
Right.
But you want to be there an hour ahead. Actually, I'll be on the road by 3:30 probably.
Yeah.
So I want to be there by 4:30. So yeah, see that there's another one. To get set up and get going, you got to call back to the station, make sure things are working. Then you got to go down and get pronunciations, because the worst thing you want to do is call somebody by the wrong name and have a mom call you up in the middle of the game and yell at you. There's always going to be something that goes wrong.
Right.
With technology, there's going to be something. Last night it was commercials. Sometimes it's something else. You never know what it's going to be. That's the interesting part. And then, you got, 45 minutes to a half hour, maybe longer on post-game, depending on how many kids come up, and then you got the drive home. So you can have, like tonight, I'll probably have an 8-hour day in on the backside of it. So, again, glad to do it for the kids. None of us are doing it for the money. We're doing it to try to help you, because we know that you need help, but and the kids. It's fun to get to see the kids, and they enjoy it, and you can always see the sparkle in their eye when they see they're on radio, and it's fun to mess with them and get to know all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. We do it because we enjoy doing what we do, and for the kids and for the communities. And sometimes the people everybody forgets about is the people that can't get to the games.
Absolutely.
Grandmas and grandpas, sometimes great grandmas and grandpas that can't really get out and travel, especially at this time of the year with the weather. And to be able to bring them the games on the radio so that they can kind of hear how their grandson's doing, or maybe their niece or nephew.
Listen on the web.
Yeah, those are kind of the important things.
I have people tell me they actually look for me on their radio. They try to find my broadcasts.
Really?
Those people need checked in.
I do feel sorry for them.
Duke Annenberg's one of them. I think we're going to have to check him in. First of all, I don't know why you'd watch me. And second of all, why would you want to listen? I don't even like listening to myself. And people are sitting there picking me up. So thank you for those that suffer through. You got a doubleheader tonight. I apologize. I am definitely down the totem pole on broadcasters you want to listen to. But thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, well, and thank you for taking that game. It gives me the opportunity to go and watch my nephew play.
Glad to do it.
Senior year, kind of want to follow them as far as they can, as they're going to go.
I tease you about doubleheader, but again, two teams that I would love to cover.
Yep.
I like those Arweva kids, and the Audubon kids are really great kids to be around too. So, other than the time length, it's fun being down there with those guys, and hopefully we get to cover them playing each other on Thursday.
And I tell you what, I will say this. I feel sorry for Ann Collison. She just texted and said she enjoys listening to us. So,
and there's down in Manning, there's a place you can check yourself in. We'll drive you down there.
I will just say this. It's either listen to Pete or listen to us. I think us.
We're a big step up. We are a big step up.
Yeah, we do need to talk some state wrestling, though, as we kind of got off, as I wanted to thank everybody for their help. But 10 local kids went down and wrestled at the state tournament this year. We've had some good numbers the last couple of years after, 3 seasons ago, having just the one kid that qualified for state. Had some guys make it into Saturday. A good job by Garrett Bruce. He would finish up in 5th place, knocked off Nick Haynes and had to do it twice. It was so interesting in the quarterfinals as he got into the semis before losing and coming through on the backside. He was wrestling against Haynes from Missouri Valley, and Eric McCullough, the head football coach for East Sac, had informed me during that match that Haynes and Bruce were the number 1 and number 2 rushers in Class 1A this past football season. Of course, played against each other in that East Sac Missouri Valley football game. But it looked like Bruce was in trouble. He got rolled over. It looked like he was going to get pinned. The back was on the ground, but it wasn't even for a split second. He had a cradle wrapped in himself and somehow was able to roll through. And instead of ending up on his back, he rolled through on his back and got Haynes on his back in that cradle. And it was all within about a second of each other and ended up getting the pin. Ended up then having a rematch with Haynes in the 5th place match and ended up picking up an 8-7 victory in that one. Kind of had a crazy finish in his consolation semifinal on Saturday morning. He was wrestling Cale Ranavardi out of Don Bosco, and Garrett probably needed 2 more seconds to come away with the win there. He got the takedown, but ended up just not... He didn't get the takedown because he didn't have time to get in behind. He got the guy on the ground and he didn't get in behind to get control. Otherwise, he'd have sent that thing into overtime. If he'd had maybe an extra 30 seconds or something, he maybe could have picked up some back points or something there. But ended up losing in that consolation semifinal, which moved him into the 5th place match. In Class 3A, Parker Clucky, kind of a tough day for him on Saturday. He ended up losing to Voyen Adamson out of Bettendorf. He would finish up 8th place overall. So, he ended up medaling 2 years in a row down there and got himself on the stand. So congratulations to him on a great career. Terrific young kid. Just had a great season, but kind of had a tough route like a lot of our guys did. It was really interesting when I went through the early brackets. A lot of our guys got stuck with somebody ranked either number 1, number 2, or number 4 in the opening round, and not real easy when your opening round matches against one of the guys expected to be maybe in the final.
And you get down there, everybody's good.
Yep.
And that's it's hard to get in there on a fluke. You may not have the best record because you're wrestling up or what have you, but you get to state and you expect every match is going to be a dogfight, and it is. And Parker lost to the kid that won it. Opening round, and then just struggled all the way through. I thought he had a chance there with a DCG kid, and just wasn't able to pull that off. And then, sometimes that breaks you mentally,
right?
And I think that may be part of what he had. He just wasn't able to get mentally back to where he normally wrestles all the way through.
Came back and got a win after that to keep himself alive on the backside, but just didn't maybe look quite as sharp and maybe wasn't as aggressive as what he needed to be the rest of the way.
I had a guy tell me, because of course I never made it down there. I was not that good, but once you understand your medaling, it's maybe a little harder to keep your edge.
Right.
If you have your sets set on, a really high finish and you get bumped, it's hard to keep that edge on there. Right. And I could see that. So.
Well, and I tell you that on Saturday, I don't know if the kids are feeling or thinking as much about what medal is they're going to get as where they're going to eat after everything wraps up. Because it's so interesting to me. You go down and talk to the coaches and the kids on the mats on Saturday morning ahead of time, and the discussions generally are what buffet they're going to and where they're going to eat afterwards, because it's awfully important. Dylan Obelmeyer down in Audubon as well went into it 50-0 on the season, got a win in his opening round matchup, and then ended up losing. He was number 5 in the rankings, ended up losing to number 4 in the quarterfinals. Did a nice job of coming back on the backside too, but ended up 8th place overall, and very similar to probably to Parker. Kind of maybe had some higher expectations down there. You get that first loss of the season. I wouldn't say that he didn't wrestle well the rest of the way, but maybe it changes. It does. absolutely. But great year for him as well. Terrific young kid.
Yeah.
A lot of fun to kind of joke around with him a little bit and stuff. He's really nice young man.
Kid to
absolutely.
Yep.
Some of the other kids that were down there, Abraham Dirks from Carroll as a sophomore, ended up getting knocked out in the second round consolation. So his season and career came to an end as he lost 4-2 to Andrew Rowert out of Clear Creek, Amana. Also, Trace McEwen, he ended up having to wrestle Gabe Pauley, who was the state champion and won it again this year to go back-to-back. He ended up having to wrestle him in the first round and then ended up losing his first-round consolation matchup. Luke Mazinski got into day 2 as well out of Audubon and ended up falling there to see his season come to an end. Nathan Thompson also ended up losing his first couple of matches for East Sac County. Kip Corbin ended up getting injured in his second-round consolation matchup, got taken down. I talked with him about an hour or two afterwards, and he said that he was feeling better, but ended up kind of popping some ribs out when he got hit and landed on the ground and stuff, so he ended up getting beat by fall. Luckily, it took him a little while, but they were able to get him up off of the mat, and he walked off okay, and then the ribs were feeling better by later in the day. Chase McAllister, another one of those, kind of had a tough first-round match. I don't know. I don't know exactly how to explain it. I think he was a better wrestler. It was a really good wrestler out of Lake Mills, but Chase just couldn't quite get inside on him. And ended up losing that matchup 6-2, and then had to try and bounce back on the backside. Ended up losing in his second-round consolation matchup. Got through the first-round consolations, lost in the second-round consolations. But another one of those kids that I think was expecting to be a semifinalist or maybe not a finalist, and maybe just I wouldn't say the desire, but the mental part of it was hard to come back from after that opening round loss.
Absolutely. And I want to give a shout-out to State. I know the rankings weren't perfect this year, but they're attempting to give us a better show at State.
Yep.
I thought the finals, for the most part, we had a lot of really good finals. We've had some really bad ones. They're trying to spread out the seating a little bit so that you get. I don't think they've quite got it figured out. I think we talked about last night. I think there's some that are still messed up, but the attempt is there. I think they're going down the right path. The idea is to get the best wrestlers into the finals, and I don't think we've had that in the past. I think all their sports they struggle with it, but I think they're going the right direction. Hopefully they come up with a better system.
And I know Tanner Warrington, the head wrestling coach from Kemper, is a part of the coaches group that helps out with that, and they're still working. I think they'll tweak some of how they seed down at the state tournament. I will say this: the only thing I wish they would do differently this year is instead of putting the brackets out right away and the pairings out right away, wait until you've made your tweaks and you get everything out. You can put them together and hide them from everybody and look at them and make your tweaks
and
then post them. Yeah, because when you post them and then everybody kind of has an idea of who they think they're wrestling, and then 2 days later, that changes. I don't know if that's really a good thing.
I did enjoy the finals. I thought it was a very entertaining finals. I thought we had a lot of the ones and twos, a lot of close matches.
Yep.
And that hasn't been the case best. So kudos to them for trying.
I understand in today's world everybody wants everything now, but that might not be the best thing in this situation.
No, we can wait a little bit.
You bet. We'll step away. We'll take a break. Back with more of Rewind coming up next right here on KCIM.
As the athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season, remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that... at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
That was Arnold's favorite music.
That was put in by Cones. The birthday boy, Nathan. That's
Nathan
one of his favorite one. He dances every time that comes back.
Absolutely. Speaking of dancing, I showed some good moves last night.
Wow. There's some things you just can't unsee. You dancing is one of those things that's burnt. I had nightmares all night.
I can believe that. I will admit, there was a few years ago back here at the radio station, they named a dance after me. So I've got skills. I just don't show them very often.
We don't know what your skills are, but you're not dancing.
Yeah.
If he ever tries to do that, you've got to kill the stream because you will lose. You will never have a date again if they put that on film.
By the way, we do have Johnston Communications with us again today, so we are live on Facebook right now. We're on their Facebook page. We're on the KCIM Facebook page. Yeah. So if you want to look at the beauty of Honnold sitting across over there in his Iowa Hawkeye jacket, you can watch him.
Absolutely. I don't know why you
I don't think they have the camera that's on me on today, so we're in good shape there. Everybody saw enough of me last week.
Oh, I told you last night during that commercial.
How many times have we shown John Ryan riding the Dolphins and the Sharks down there here so far?
The dolphin, a couple times in the tree.
Okay, well, in the tree with the koala. The koala.
The koala.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if he'll actually send us a picture of him with like a koala before the day's over.
I bet not.
That'll be interesting. But let's talk a little boys basketball playoffs. Last night, Jeff, the Carroll boys advance wasn't pretty early, but they settled in the second half and really ran away with that one.
Well, they had a couple guys missing.
Yep.
And that
boom was gone, yeah.
Yep. But then, Moore looks good. They've been talking about him for a while. He's been practicing. I think that adds another dimension to that team.
Yep.
They were a high quality team going into the tournament round.
Yep.
I think this adds another dimension, and we almost saw a wide open path for them. Glenwood did get knocked off last night.
Yep, Glenwood got knocked
state champion,
off.
and then
Schleswig did get through though.
Denison Schleswig had to go into overtime with Atlantic, which Atlantic has improved dramatically this year.
And Atlantic and Denison Schleswig played in the final game of the regular season, so sometimes when you're playing somebody, boom, it's not easy that second time to be able to win it like you did the first time.
That as far as mentally, that would have really opened up the other side of the bracket. But Carroll looks good right now. Back home here for the second round again, Winterset. Third time, but now when you have an added, you have another player in there.
Right.
That changes things a little bit for Carroll. I think that gives them another weapon that Winterset hasn't been able to see and defend. They got to watch a little bit last night, but again, I really like this Carroll team. I think they have a real opportunity if they just play through.
Absolutely, and for them, got to get Boom healthy. I think if you get everybody,
get everyone
home sick and stuff, so we hopefully by Thursday he'll be feeling better. So I want to move on to last Friday night. You went over to Ida Grove, and kind of a disappointing doubleheader for us over there. ESAC in the first game ended up losing. Kind of had that game late, and kind of that one slipped away from us. They fell to Altaria 52-51.
Yeah, they had they really went. They got down. They got down about 10 or more points there. Actually pulled themselves out of their zone, which is odd for them. Went man-to-man, sped Altaria up, got the turnovers they needed, got that thing tied up, actually got the lead, was inbound. They had an inbound play underneath their own basket, and got called on a 5-second call. Coach Edwards thought maybe it was a little quick. It seemed fast, but again, in that time of thing, it really feels fast anytime going on. So they turned it over underneath their own basket. They were able to inbound, took two players right at Claire. Claire had to choose one. They gave it to the other one and got the layup, and they weren't able to advance. But again, a really nice comeback win there for ESAC County, or comeback and had it late, but just not able to close it out.
And for Kemper up by 2 at halftime against OABCIG, that's a very athletic team with a Dijon kid and can shoot the ball well. But a lot of missed bunnies in the first half kind of came back to haunt them, and then a tough third quarter, they end up losing by 12.
And that's kind of been Kemper's MO all year. Yep. They get one quarter that kind of kills them, but they really should have been up by 10 or more probably at halftime. They were really pounding the ball inside, doing a nice job, just not able to finish those. And then the Dijon kid in the second half really kind of changed what he was doing. He went more crashing the boards.
Right.
Really dominated the second half of that game, and you look up and he has 32, and you're wondering how. A lot of it from the free throw, but everything was in the paint. He didn't sit outside and shoot. He rebounded, put things back up. He took the ball away. Really strong kid, sophomore. Just efficient. I think that's the word that Tyler used a lot, and I agree with him. You look up and you go, I don't know how he's got 32, but wow, the kid's amazing.
One of our teams that did advance, South Central Calhoun, just kind of a steady performance, got up early against Southeast Valley, a team they had beaten twice. Southeast Valley made a run at them in the second half, got that thing very close, but they were able to pull out a 70-65 victory. It was just a 3-point game going into the fourth quarter, but ballot scoring for them. Matthew Clark with 15, Zane Newbaum 16, Jared Burks 15, and Brennan Holder finished up with 12. So you get that kind of ballot scoring out of that team with the way they've been able to defend this year and the way they get the ball up and down the floor. That's going to be a tough team to beat, but it's going to be an interesting matchup tonight with Madrid. I think so. We like that Arweva team, and they're kind of built similar to the South Central team where they got some size, and Madrid was able to squeak out a win against Arweva. So it shouldn't be easy for South Central, but
boy, the way they're playing, you kind of got to like their chances here of squeaking through. And I think all three of these, 4 of these teams we have alive right now, 5, all have a very good shot. They're all pretty well built the same, and should be fun to watch. Yeah,
IKM Manning knocked off West Bend Mallard. Really didn't have any problems the other night. Kind of put that game away early on. Yep. They'll take on Newell Fonda. Newell Fonda knocked off Peyton Jourdan and ended their season the other night 80-34. So that's kind of a run there. And then Glidden Ralston also saw their season come to an end last Wednesday night, losing in the first round to Storm Lake St. Mary's 71-36. They were just so banged up and so injured.
They just never got anything going all year long.
Anything going, absolutely. And then also in the playoffs, you mentioned Arweeva had their game on Thursday night last week. They were able to cruise and get by West Harrison. It was just a 1-point game at the end of the first quarter, and then the real Arweeva team kind of showed up, and they started to dominate things, and were up 17 at half and ended up winning by 36. Audubon also knocked off Loma last week in a tight one, 51-44. That sets up an interesting matchup with Exira Elkhorn Kimballton, a team they have lost to down at Exira Elkhorn Kimballton earlier this season, but kind of the Audubon County rivalry going to be renewed for a second time coming up tonight.
Yeah, and I like this Audubon team.
I do too.
I've had them. I've seen them a couple times. If they get hot, if they get streaky, they can take out Elkhorn Kimballton, and it's going to be. You're right. It's going to be interesting. I think all the way through here. Even Arweeva tonight should, on paper, be able to handle AHST, but AHST's been playing up, so they're not going to be scared of anybody. So it's going to be an interesting night.
Yeah, and Coon Rapids Bayard, kind of the same thing. I know Coach Meyer, I chatted with him a little bit through text message last week after the game. He was really happy with the way his team played in a 55-51 loss to Coon Rapids Bayard, the effort that they played with. They just, again, they're one of those teams in our area that kind of struggles to score at times and struggles to get baskets to fall. Ended up falling in that game 55-51 as their season came to an end.
And they're a little banged up here. I think it wasn't over.
Ben was back, had 24
but
that night,
he's not going to be the same kid.
Yep.
When you twist an ankle, I don't care if it's 2 weeks, you're still not the same. And I think that's, you see that quite often this time of year. And but good for him. Coach Meyer, I know he struggled with this team, and they really improved down the stretch here.
And really good defensively. They just struggle to score.
Yep.
And that's a problem for a lot of teams right now, struggling to score. And part of it is not getting enough shots up during the offseason. You come into the season and your shot's off, and then you try to get better as the year goes on, but it's just hard. It's getting up shots during the offseason that's going to make you a better shooter come regular season time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just working on your game.
You bet. We'll step away. We've got to take one more break. Back with more of the St. Anthony Hospital 1380 KCIM Rewind coming up next year on KCIM.
As the athletes at newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
A little better music for you there.
I like that.
Okay, yeah. Happy birthday to Nathan Cones, though, by the way, our assistant news director, celebrating, what's he, like 22 today or 21?
No, he's so young. We should just go beat him just because he's young.
I think he might be about 12.
Happy birthday to my oldest,
your oldest
Keely
daughter.
Young. She turns 24 today. So.
Yeah. So did you guys get a chance to celebrate last weekend?
We did. Saturday night we went out. We got to go out to eat, and then we came back to our house and had cake and everything. So both sets of grandparents there.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm not sure. I'm sure she's going out tonight. They were talking about going to Ames, but I think they might have made weather might have changed plans a little bit. But we'll see. I'm sure sure the dog will be at our house sometime today. So
absolutely
get to set the grand dog.
You enjoy that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was cooking last night. My wife actually went out. My wife went out. Yeah, my wife went out to eat. So I was cooking, and he plopped his little butt down right in the kitchen.
You can't call opening up a can of
pork chops.
You had pork chops.
I did pork chops.
Okay.
So the dog sat there assuming that I was going to spill because it normally happens. So he sat there waiting for the shrapnel to hit the floor and clean it up.
You really called turning a pork chop over a few times cooking?
I made my own salad.
Okay. Well, and that's not really cooking.
I ate it, so it's cooking.
I thought maybe you just opened up a can of spaghetti and meatballs or something.
That's not on the program. I had to go back on the program. So yeah, I had pork chops and butter.
Should have never left it. Neither should have I.
Yeah, you're right there.
We do have girls basketball playoffs to get to. Disappointing last Wednesday night. Season came to an end for both Carroll and for Kemper that night, and also for Esac County as we started to kind of run low on girls basketball teams last week. Both Carroll and Kemper end up falling. Carroll, really tough one, 50-44 over at Roland Story. Roland Story ended up knocking off Clear Lake, who I thought was the best team that I had seen in girls this year, along with Trainer. So Roland Story awfully good. That tells you how good this Carroll team was to be able to play them so well on their home floor and really have some opportunities down the stretch to maybe win that game.
And the nice thing is that I think the girls are disappointed. And I think it's driving them a little bit more.
Yep.
This team has made big strides. I think they have some pretty good basketball left in them.
I do too.
We've been around these kids. The sophomore class, of course, is talented. The juniors have some talent in it. The freshman class is pretty talented.
Yep.
And then, we've been messing around with the 8th grade class here, and there's some talent there for Carroll as well. And so you like to see the athletes coming through. I think Carroll High is set up pretty well on the girls' side with athletes coming through.
Yep.
And if they just continue to work, they could have a nice little run right here.
Absolutely, and they're competitive. That's the biggest thing with this group is they're competitive. They want to get better. They want to go out and win, and that's what it takes.
They hate to
be able
lose.
To take it to another level. Absolutely.
That's what I love about that group. They hate to lose.
You bet. Kemper Knights, Kemper girls kind of ran into a buzzsaw up there at Humboldt the other night against Clear Lake. Clear Lake, a really good three-point shooting team. They tried to come out man-to-man, and Clear Lake was able to get the dribble penetration. They'd help with the dribble penetration. They kicked the open shooters, and they were knocking everything down. I think they had 6 in the first quarter.
They were banking stuff in.
Yeah, kind of put the game away early on, and the night season came to an end. Kemper going to graduate a really good group of seniors, and they're going to lose Kara Peter for next year. So got some work to do there. They've got some nice young kids and stuff, so I think things will be all right in the future. But it's one of those teams that probably has got to put some time in during the off season to get ready for next year.
It was a team that just never could get things rolling this year. They started out a little late with state volleyball, and just they would get a couple wins going. It just felt like they were never in rhythm.
They hardly ever played a game with their full team.
Yeah, it was one of those years that you just couldn't quite get everything going, and it's sad because they had a nice team. I think you get the whole team together and get some time underneath there, they would have done a little better this year, but they just couldn't quite get things put together.
You bet. And we are kind of running late here today, so we got to kind of quickly run you through the rest. South Central Calhoun knocked off Esac. Esac led for a part of that game, played really well. It's a terrific team. I just think for them, just a lack of numbers. They've got 8 kids total. They play 5 of them, a lot of minutes, and if you do that with the style that they play, where they were really aggressive defensively, you just kind of wear out as the season goes on, and I think that kind of affected them here. Arweva knocked off West Harrison 62-44 that night. Glidden Ralston, tip your hat to them. They went down to Exira and Kimballton, got down 13-0 early on, but then got it down to a 1-point game with 2 minutes left. But the Spartans able to hit some free throws down the stretch, and they would pick up the win. Audubon battled hard against the Caminita team that made state and finished up just losing by 6 on the road at Cam. So that tells you a team led by juniors and freshmen, that the future extremely bright, I think, for the Audubon girls coming up next year. And Peyton Jourdan probably should have knocked off Colonesco on the road the other night. They led that one 46-38 going into the fourth quarter, but scored just 4 points in that fourth quarter. They're going to lose a terrific senior class with Jenna Byers, Megan Carey, and those girls. And then we can just kind of run through you on Friday. Not a good night for us locally here. South Central Calhoun just couldn't get shots to fall, and it sounded like everything went in for Ridgeview. They end up falling to Ridgeview 63-53. ICAM Manning, defensive struggle against Woodbury Central, and Woodbury Central able to win that one 41-33. And then Arweva kind of running into that buzzsaw. Newell Fonda won by 30-some last night in a regional final. That's just how good they are. They end up knocking off Arweva. So Wednesday night or Friday night this past week, our girls' season came to an end. We don't have anybody left.
Yeah, no, that hurt. And I think Maddie Jones, she rolled her ankle. I don't think she was back to 100% either, and I think that really hurt I really expected South Central to win that game and really have a good shot at going to state. So that was a little bit surprising. Arweva, Newell Fonda, it's going to be tough for anybody to stop them. And the rest of them have all played good ball. It's just kind of it was a sad night for us. We just couldn't get anybody to come through. IKM Manning, I think, ran into a mirror of themselves, maybe just a little more athletic, which makes it a struggle as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The earliest we've ever had the girls' basketball season come to an end, but it did, so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, well, I tell you what, I want to thank Johnston Communications. Didn't get a chance to talk to him like we did last week. Thank you very much for the pictures of John while he's on vacation. Mr. Hundle, appreciate you coming in. You're going to be back next week, or are you on the road?
I'm on the road.
You're on the road.
I'm going where it's warm. I'm heading south.
Folks, I apologize early. It will be the boring me all week.
I might be able to go on. I might be able to talk to you. We'll see if we can call in.
Bring you in on the phone.
Possibly.
Okay, maybe we'll try to get John down there in Australia on the phone, too.
He'll probably be saying some Australian sayings or something.
Absolutely. I couldn't. I would try to do one, but it won't work. Yeah. So
sounds like Canadian.
Yeah, that is Rewind here on 1380 KCIM.
When you need to know.